if you don't understand how the body works, root cause, and downstream consequences, you're going to try to do the really fancy stuff without being able to digest or having their hormones balanced or having the body really working correctly. And this is reminding me of is a few times when I've done the fundamentals, not trying to treat a condition at all because I didn't expect that I could. I don't treat disease and having a miracle occur. I had one guy that lost his hearing. He had a couple of serious ear infections, took antibiotics. They told him he was deaf. Now, he was a sound engineer. He faxed me because he couldn't speak on the telephone. And what I found was that he just had some residual low grade, probably an infection in his ear. And so all I did was give him natural supplements to treat his immune system. It never occurred to me I could fix his hearing. He called me on the phone and he said, I can hear again. Can you imagine? His career was over at that point. It wasn't even what I hoped I could do. That's the power of natural medicine.
Hi, today's guest is someone who truly brings modern medicine with the wisdom of nature. Anne Dunev believes while technology has its place, when it comes to human beings, nature often knows best. Her work is rooted in harmony between mind, body, and spirit, and supporting the body's own ability to heal and regenerate. As a naturopath, Anne practices a wide range of restorative medicine, including hypothalamus reset work, using acupressure reflexes, and innovative approaches that support the action of our own body's own stem cells for healing and renewal. She also deeply is passionate about fertility and helping women return to the fundamentals, nutrition, lifestyle, and mind-body balance that is used to be a part of everyday life and are essential for creating healthy bodies and healthy babies today. She is also the author of The Fat Fix Diet, an internationally respected speaker, and has spent decades teaching people how to support their health naturally. And Anne, I am so honored to have you here, and I'm so excited for our conversation.
Yes, thank you, Denise. I'm very happy to be here. I really appreciate the ability to speak to your audience, but also to talk with you, because I think we have a lot to share and a lot in common.
Thank you. Yes, we have a lot in common, including just on a side note, I know that you were a runner in the past.
True.
I'm also a runner, but yes, we have a lot in common. I'm really excited to learn a lot from you today. So let me start with what inspired you to do the work you do today?
You know, as many of us who entered this field, I had my own health issue. I was 18 years old. I was a freshman in college. I developed what today would be called IBS. It actually developed into really ulcerative colitis. And I think it was just a really, you talk about the mind body, I think it was a stress response to, new experiences in college. And the doctor that treated me wanted to do surgery and really be very aggressive about it. And I thought, no, 18 years
Mhm.
old, I'm not going to start removing body parts. And so I decided I had to figure out what to do. And I had no background in any of this. I was an English major and I had no family who was interested in any type of medicine. And I started reading some books and I realized that maybe I could do something and I figured it out. I fixed it very, very gradiently, and it was definitely a mind-body approach. And then I decided I better learn something about this thing called a body because I have no idea how it works, and I have no idea how I got myself into that, fairly serious health condition. And so that started me out. I changed majors completely and fell in love with the sciences, and here I am.
Wow, that's what a blessing. That's
Mhm. Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
And here you are just helping other people get in
Mhm.
touch with their body and educating them.
Right.
What is a story, a client story that really touched you and reminded you why you love this work?
Oh gosh, There are so many great stories. Um, One in particular I can think of because I really do fundamentals. I'm a big believer that, these days you can spend a lot of money on a lot of very fancy, functional medicine things. And I'm not going to discount some of those doctors are very good. But if you don't have the basics if you don't understand how the body works, root cause, and downstream consequences, you're going to try to do the really fancy stuff without the person being able to digest or having their hormones balanced or having the body really working correctly. And so I can think of this is reminding me of is a few times when I've done the fundamentals, not trying to treat a condition at all because I didn't expect that I could. I don't treat disease,
Mhm.
and having a miracle occur. I had one guy, I practiced in England for a number of years, and I had one guy that lost his hearing. He had a couple of serious ear infections, took antibiotics. They told him he was deaf. Now he was a sound engineer. To
Oh,
make an
wow.
appointment with me, he faxed me because he couldn't speak on the telephone. And so what I found was that he just had some residual low grade, probably an infection in his ear. And so all I did was give him natural supplements to treat his immune system. It never occurred to me I could fix his hearing. He called me on the phone and he said, I can hear again.
Wow.
So, I mean, can you imagine? His career was over at that point. And so it wasn't even what I hoped I could do. And I've had several times like that where you just, because the body is so connected, you work in an area and then something else wonderful occurs. I've also had that with treating thyroid for women, where women
Mhm.
are almost suicidal. And again, I don't do any particular mental health things per se, but you get the hormones balanced and you start their thyroid working well again. And
Yeah.
I can think of one woman 2 weeks later, she said, I'm back. I love my baby. I love my husband. I'm good. And, that's the power of natural medicine.
Right. Wow, that's beautiful. Powerful stories. Really, if we give our body what it needs, it can really take care of us and get back in balance.
There's so much, it's been so suppressed for so long.
Yeah.
And uh, and that this is a lot of our challenge because we have to help people understand what is possible and help them kind of get an idea of how their body works because we're not taught that. I mean, I had no idea how my body worked before I, took all the classes and everything. And these
Right.
days, I don't think you can afford that. I think you have to get some understanding because there's too many vectors which are working against our health, between the toxins and the deficient food and we don't even know what radiation and 5G are doing. And, then we've had new immune challenges in the last few years. So there's a lot of vectors that are working against us. And I think that you have to control what you can. We can't control all those things. We can't take down the 5G towers, but we can control what we can control. And then it's a matter of discipline and helping people really understand how they can incorporate, you know, all the factors in nutrition and lifestyle to help themselves stay healthy.
Absolutely. And when we do that, it makes such a huge difference. Tell me a little bit about your doing something with stem cell rejuvenation, helping our bodies produce our own stem cells. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I love this. I'm very fascinated.
This is one of the biggest breakthroughs I have seen in 30 years of practice. You're always talking about root cause. Well,
Mhm.
the most root cause thing in the world, of course, is stem cells, because that's how a baby's body even starts with stem cells that then differentiate into different systems and different organs of the body. So, a company in Taiwan, after many, many years of research, came out with an oral stem cell activator.
Mm,
And, a lot of people are going out of the country to get stem cells from umbilical cord, and they count how many stem cells that they're putting into the body. But this
right.
company measures baseline stem cells in anyone with very advanced laboratory work so that you know what level of regeneration you have and what level of immune response that you have. And so they
Mhm.
measure baseline and then they measure 60 days later after the program is complete. And it's actually this little vial is called CD34. So it's oral. You take it
Mhm.
first thing in the morning. It travels to, if you take it on an empty stomach, it travels into the small intestine and goes in through the lymph system to your bone marrow. The adult bone marrow is where we make our stem cells. And so what it does is it stimulates exactly the way your body works naturally. So if you're 20 years old and you have an injury, your body turns on more stem cells to repair. But when you
Mhm.
get past 40 or 50, that declines. And so
Mhm.
this acts the same way that your body would, stimulating with the same factors to make your stem cells increase. And then we can measure that. So it's not just subjective. And of course, your own stem cells will go to wherever you need help. So it makes the kind of stem cells that differentiate into whatever is needed. So it's
Right.
pretty exciting. And it's very exciting for fertility, for immune response, for regenerating whatever needs to be regenerated. It's working very well. People are, I mean, for me, it was about revitalization because at this age, I'm doing great, but my body wasn't, didn't feel like it was really keeping up with me the same way as it used
Uh-huh.
to. And
Yeah.
like you, I used to run like crazy and, always very, very energetic. And I didn't lose energy, but I lost some degree of my body's ability to keep up with what I wanted to do. And that
Yeah.
changed pretty dramatically for me on this program. Plus, if you do bioscans and different type of body scans, you can see the degree of regeneration.
Really? I
Mhm.
love it. That's amazing. So are you using this with your clients or your patients?
Yes,
Wow.
there's different levels and potencies. So
Hmm.
depending on where a person starts and what they need help with, then and then we measure. And some people honestly need more than one round because we didn't get here overnight and we didn't get
Right.
here in just 2 months. And but the great thing is you have lab work to verify. And then, you have other ways because we do other kinds of lab work also. I've
Right.
seen it improve the AMH level. I've seen improvement in Hashimoto's. I just had one person just finish her 6-month program, do the blood work, and her Hashimoto's is now in remission. Uh,
Wow.
and for some of my older patients, tremendous difference in their ability to work out or exercise or just go around about their daily life where they were somewhat dragging before. I really,
Oh,
anti-aging, I learned a lot about anti-aging because it really is the ability to regenerate and it's the
yes.
ability to have a robust immune response. And if you have both of those things, then the effects of aging, which is the wear and tear and the susceptibility to things like, cancer and inflammation and infection, if you can address those like a younger body, your biological age is younger than your chronological age.
That's amazing. A lot
Mhm.
of people, when we talk about stem cells, they're afraid. You brought it up, so it triggered a question for me. You mentioned cancer. A lot of people are afraid that if we're, stimulating stem cells, is it going to help feed cancer or,
Mhm.
help have it come up when it maybe wouldn't have arisen. I'm having a hard time finding the words, but do you know what I mean? I guess the word is, can you trigger cancer to be activated? That's the phrase I'm looking for.
Not with this program. And the reason is it increases your natural killer T cells. Those
Mm.
are the ones that go after cancer. So actually, one of the reasons I did it was for cancer prevention.
Okay.
So, and also remember, cancer cells operate off of a different pathway than normal healthy cells. So I definitely recommend that anybody who is worried about cancer or dealing with any kind of cancer has to cut out sugar completely.
Right.
I would even say fruit sugar, so that you're not giving the cancer cells, they like to feed off of that sugar metabolism pathway. But this, there is lifestyle advice. You're eating a pretty good amount of protein, eating healthy fats, getting lots of sleep, getting exercise, all those things, of course, you would incorporate because this would be like a spa program, you
Right.
you want to take advantage of it. But your own body is not going to uh, promote cellular mutation. It's going to go after and get rid of those cancer cells. So I understand that concern, and it might be a concern with other programs, but that wouldn't be a concern with this program.
That's fantastic. I know it's a lot of, we're still in the unknown, but that makes sense because it's getting your body to produce its own stem cells, and then our body's made to heal and protect us. So it would give it more chance to fight it, but it's not going to trigger it to come on, to turn it on or anything.
It has been used in conjunction with cancer treatment just to keep the body healthy and strong. Because the problem with cancer treatment, as we do in Western medicine, it's not that it doesn't work, it's the effects it has on the rest of the body. So you
Right.
want to keep the rest of, if you're going to do those treatments, you have to keep the rest of the body strong. And you
Right.
also want to repair the body from any side effects of the treatment. So there is a place for it even there. I'm not, it's not my area. I don't treat cancer, but I'm just speaking generally about the
Right.
potential.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Share with me, what is one of the biggest mistakes or a pattern that you see your clients fall into, and how can they shift from that?
It's funny that one of the biggest mistakes I think people make is they get their advice on health from their friends, from
Mm,
their family. Social media is a mixed bag. You can learn a lot of good things, but you can learn a lot of things that either don't apply to you or aren't really well documented. But I have so many people come in confused. Well, my friend said this, my mother said this, and my sister is doing, and I don't know what to do. I said, well, how many of them have, backgrounds in health and nutrition? And no, but everybody has an opinion,
yes.
and it's not always helpful. And also, oh, if you try this one supplement I got online, it will handle all of that. Well, again, I don't think it happens that often. If it would, great, I'm all for it. But that one supplement is going to handle a fairly involved problem.
Yeah.
It goes back to the pillars. What is your nutrition like? What is your lifestyle like? How much sleep are you getting? What's the quality? There's
Right.
and circadian rhythm. That's a whole other very exciting area. Getting out and getting sunlight in the morning and using blue blocker glasses in the evening so that you have high cortisol in the morning, melatonin production in the evening, because that's all part of the hormonal system. So there's a lot to know because we live indoors now. We're like people in caves a lot of times. And our ancestors had sun exposure, and you don't have to have, wrinkled, freckled skin. I'm very light skinned. You are too. And, I'm always protected my skin a lot, but you can go out early in the morning and get that sunlight in your eyes without risk to your skin. And also, I think we've really misinformed people about skin cancer. I
Mm,
think skin cancer is a lot about the quality of the oils and fats that you eat. So
mm,
look at the Mediterranean people. They don't have skin cancer like we do in other Western countries. And they were eating good quality olive oil and
mm.
real butter. And the United States and a few other countries, we no, you can't eat fat, you have to eat sugar. Well, what promotes cancer more than anything else? And that's sugar. So
Right.
again, getting more in tune with nature, despite the fact we live in such a high-tech digital world.
Yeah, we really have to make a big effort and be really conscious about those choices and making sure that we are getting out there in nature. Yeah, and I I love that suggestion with getting out in the morning and just, seeing the sunlight when
Mhm.
the rays are lower and we're not really putting ourselves in danger. That's great.
You have to no sunglasses.
No.
And just, yeah, even people with blue eyes in early morning. If I go walk in the morning, in fact, I only wear sunglasses really midday when there's a lot of glare and such. But I've really gotten a lot more light exposure. Of course, I'm in Florida or California because I do go there often also. And so we're really lucky because we have so much light.
Yeah.
Even up north, I think people would do well to get candlelight and the old-fashioned incandescent or halogen because LED is too blue.
Hmm.
And that's why you need blue blocker glasses at night because the blue blocks melatonin production. And there's some evidence coming out of Stanford research, Stanford University, that it is actually affecting our mitochondria.
Mm.
And there's supposedly some very good research coming out that's going to talk about that. So again, you know, quest for energy efficiency, we have to take the human body into consideration, and we don't
Right.
often do that.
No, it's definitely neglected. So that's interesting about the effect of mitochondria because that's going to make us age more faster. And we want
Exactly. And
longevity and redo.
exactly. And it's
My
probably
goodness.
affecting our metabolism. Now we have an obesity crisis and there's so many factors to the obesity crisis. I used to
Right.
think it was just that people were eating too much sugar and junk food. I don't think that anymore. There's too many things that are disrupting our metabolism in general.
Yeah. What do you see with some of those things for the obesity? Some of the disruptors. What other things do you see?
Well, I think that heavy metals, chemicals, molds, all of those things that really challenge the immune system, that we keep a low level of inflammation. And I think that the deficiency of the food so that you want to eat more. Look at the amount of junk food that exists now. I mean, we had junk food growing up, yes, but it wasn't as engineered as it is now. We're not supposed to be eating food made in the laboratory. We're supposed to be eating food that, grew on the planet or ran around on the planet. The food companies have sold us, done some great marketing, but sold us really a bill of ill health and it's supposed to be pleasurable, but you really pay for that in the long run.
Yes, and I'm happy that this is we're starting to get some movement in this area to shift that and to maybe
Mhm.
get some regulation and around those things. So that's yeah, I agree. Many women that I work with, they carry a lot of stress, anxiety, kind of self-doubt, overwhelm, and that really affects their nervous system, their health, their fertility. And so what are some of the things that you've seen that you can support with your fundamentals that you teach?
Well, you have to treat the hormonal system as a whole system. And
Mhm.
I think that so often we think of that, oh, it's estrogen for women, testosterone for men, and it's very simple, and it's not simple. I think that the pancreatic hormones, and the again, circadian rhythm, light, dark, all these things can be a huge factor. So when I've treated people who have either a diagnosis or just have a symptom of these different things, then I would really look at the hormonal system. How much sleep are they getting? What's the quality of sleep? Sleep is another really big factor. And people need to be around other people also. That's a very interesting aspect that I know that. Have you heard of the Irish longitudinal study?
No.
They followed seniors over 20 years and tracked health outcomes. And whenever I bring this up, of course, the first joke is, oh, it's the Guinness. But the ones who live the But the ones who lived the longest and the healthiest lives were the ones that had a support group.
Mm.
And I think that that's a really, really big factor in how human beings interact with each other and how they feel about their lives. I actually just heard about an interesting study where if they put rats in isolation in a cage, and you've probably heard about the studies where they've given the rat levers. And if they push a lever, they get a drug hit. And so the rat will just push the lever until they drop dead, basically. And it's a study of addiction. But if they put them in cages with other rats, with exercise equipment and playground, whatever rats like, little monkey bars or whatever, they don't choose to do the drugs.
Mm, yeah.
So, that's so interesting because we're not supposed to be in isolation. We're not supposed to be sitting in front of a screen, and our interaction is over even this kind of connection, or just, gaming or scrolling or whatever.
Right.
Again, I think that that's something we've kind of forgotten, and our younger people, really, we need to, help them to have more experiences so that they get together and are not just having digital relationships. And it's going to get worse with AI because you'll be able to have your own companion that just gives you positive feedback all the time.
I was just having this conversation with my son actually this morning and about this, and I can making sure that, we can use these tools to help us, but we don't want them to start thinking for us and to, not have that challenge, because if we won't be able to grow, right? We
Right.
won't be able to learn how to be with other people, like real people, where we get that connection that you were just talking about, and making sure we have that social environment.
And then there's pheromones,
Mm,
which are, definitely factors in male-female relationships. Women who live together start menstruating around the same time. There's things that we're not even taking into consideration that are affecting us and are, very important. You've probably heard that women on birth control pills are attracted to different males.
yeah.
And, when women are on the pill, they interact with males differently, and the attraction of the male to female is different. I mean, to a great degree, hormones rule our world, and we're doing a lot to interrupt them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Wait,
mean,
well
birth
put,
control
well
pills
put.
put a woman into menopause, basically. They suppress her own hormones. So you have women, I'm sure you see this,
I
who start
do.
on the birth control pill because they have acne or they have cramps, and then and then they delay um, having babies. They get married late, they delay having babies, and then in their, late 30s, early 40s, all of a sudden they want to get pregnant, and they've been in chemical menopause for 16, 18 years.
Yeah, I have. I personally, I think experienced that myself. I feel very blessed. I have my kids because I went into very early menopause. I'm clean, healthy eater. I think that was a big culprit. Whether that was the only thing, I don't know, but definitely think it contributed to early menopause. Yeah. So interesting.
So many different factors that we have to think about that our, great grandmothers didn't have going on.
Right. Yes. Right. And there's a lot of blessings, but like you said, we just have to learn how to navigate it.
Right. Mhm.
So, Anne, what lights you up most or inspires you right now in your work?
I think the greatest thing about this field for me is that you can continue to learn. There's
Mm,
just so much to know. I actually have to stop myself from taking new trainings and following down this rabbit hole, the next one, because I can only do so much and just, concentrate on certain areas and know that I can't know it all. I can't do it all. But it's just, and also I think what I found is just like talking to you, there's just wonderful people in this field. And I really consider that one of the best parts of my life is the people I know who are other natural medicine practitioners who are, very caring and very having a wonderful purpose in their life. And when you're around people like that, it, it's it's just, really a big part of quality of life. It's not just like-minded people, but it's people who actually understand that we can help each other. And when we do, that's when we're really having a full human experience. So we're not supposed to be, like trying to scavenge off each other. That's a soul killer. And so I think that that's a big part of it. I feel like I have some of the best people in my life around me now. And also, you learn to choose better. And I think that's one of the most important things to do for your mental and emotional health. You can't always choose your family, You can certainly choose, who you work with and your friends and your colleagues. And I've seen it. I've had to tell, especially some of my female patients, you need to get out of that job because it's really causing you health problems to be around. I worked in around the studios a lot in LA, and that's a tough world.
Yeah.
It's sort of dog eat dog, and you can see the toll it can take on people. So we have to choose wisely.
Yeah. Our chosen family is very, very important. I
Right.
love I love the full human experience phrase. I love that. Yes, we have the full human experience. That's great. I'll be thinking about you when I say that now. It's a full human experience. Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
having children, it's in some ways one of the hardest things you'll do, but it's also one of the best. And it
Yeah.
changes you and really helps you get a whole new perspective on what's important in life.
Yes, it's definitely challenges you in a beautiful way.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I'm passionate about fertility too, because I know what it's like to, want to have a baby, and I know what it's like to even have a miscarriage and have that tremendous disappointment, and then have that experience of, giving birth and such. And we need more children on the planet. The birth rate is too low.
Yes, as you know, that's my passion as well, is helping couples grow their family. Okay,
Exactly.
switching gears, what is I want to go into more of a personal
Mhm.
side. What is one compliment that you've received that truly stayed with you? What's a compliment?
Professionally, personally,
Something that's that you could go either one.
okay. I had a friend um, say to me recently, um, "You are a wonderful person." And
Mm,
this is somebody who's also very interested in health and such, but they're a friend. And it was just a really came out of the blue, just at the end of a discussion, and we were saying goodbye, and then he said that. And so that was a really nice acknowledgement. And then professionally, just how it is when people say, I couldn't find answers other places and I didn't know what to do. And then you explained things to me and I started to understand. And then my life is better because of our work together. That's always just makes everything worthwhile.
yeah, that's the best.
Mhm.
Share with me what's one piece of advice that you've been given that's really shaped you.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I've certainly gotten great advice from books, and from classes and things like that. I'm trying to think of advice that someone gave me that would be the best piece.
It could have been through a book if you have something that stuck with you through a book. Like what was something that really shaped you?
What I've gleaned from a lot of reading is that we're writing our own story,
Mm.
that we're Oh, I know. I know what I love the Teilhard de Chardin quote. He was a Jesuit priest who was also a scientist. He actually went on archaeological digs. And he said, "We are not humans having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience." And I think that if you can stand back and look at life that way, that that the physical part is only one part of it. And so obviously you want to keep your body healthy, because when you're not healthy, nothing is fun.
Nothing else matters. Yeah.
But if we can regard each other as spiritual beings, then it makes a lot of sense to help each other. And it also is a way to know that you have much more control over your life. You're not being the universe is a physical universe, and if an avalanche falls on you, you've had a close encounter of the physical universe. In terms of your life in general, you have a lot more control through your setting goals and finding out how to accomplish things. As a practitioner, you have to learn how to run a business too, and they never teach you that part. There's a lot of technology and things to learn and to know in life, and so you can't expect, it's not good luck. It's about smart choices and looking for answers and finding the way to navigate to make things happen in your own life. And that's what I tell people about health too, because I can't help everybody. I wish I could. I mean, I'm all about other modalities because I don't do all the different modalities, and some people do need other things. And so I always tell people, keep looking,
Yeah.
I'll do the best I can. And if we do good things together, that'll be great. But if this doesn't completely handle it or fix it for you, keep looking. The only mistake you'll make is if you stop looking.
Mm.
And I think that's true about life in general. Keep looking and don't settle for, oh, this is how things have to be, or I have bad luck, or I was born, in the bad side of the moon or something. There's always something that you can do about it.
100%. And I think that's where our thoughts really can play a huge role. And we have so much control of our thoughts. And I think that's the message that I would love to get out there, is that we can really, change so much just by changing the thoughts, because the thoughts create how we feel. And then how we feel is going to create what we do and what we end up getting, our results.
Well, our thoughts also influence our body tremendously. So
Yeah.
that's a really good point. I mean, have you ever heard of a book called Dianetics?
Yes.
Okay, so that book explains a lot about that aspect of things. It's it's a very interesting example of how the mind body. It's one of the better explanations I've heard of how trauma affects us. We talk a lot about trauma these days, and I actually have given some talks on what happens with trauma in terms of emotions, PTSD for veterans and such. But there's a really good explanation in that book about how the mind-body connection that I think is worth taking a look at for people too.
To take a look at that, to get a
Mhm.
better understanding of that. It's so powerful.
It is. It is. Understanding can make a huge difference also, especially if you're struggling with something, or, you're puzzled, or things seem mysterious.
Mm.
Just understanding a lot can help. And it's, I mean, I use ChatGPT all the time. I love, because I can pull studies and pulls data like, so fast. And I love that, but we still have to go back to reading books, because we can't rely on some of these great tools. There's nothing like sitting with a book,
Mhm.
and letting, your understanding of the concepts to, help you to have a better outlook or better understanding of life.
Yeah, really learning those tools and not just kind of letting it go through and not applying it. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I asked your closest friend to
Mhm.
describe what you do for a living, what would they say?
Most of my closest friends are also patients, honestly. I mean, not every single one, but most of them have at least had some degree or level of treatment by me. they call me up and ask me my advice a lot, which I'm very happy to give. So I think a lot of them would be able to describe what I do pretty well. And even if they, there's different levels of understanding of what I'm actually doing. But one of my really good friends, she used to joke that when I walked into the room, her gallbladder would stand up and wave because I've always done a lot of liver gallbladder work.
That's super cute.
Yeah.
That's pretty cute. I have that visual going, okay, I have to come back.
Yeah.
If you could speak to your 20-year-old self, what would you want her to know?
It's all going to be fine. It's going to be quite an adventure, but it's all going to work out. Don't stress, don't worry. Just, keep your eyes open and be smart and enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
advice.
I was a high stressor, you know,
Yeah.
and so that's why I say that. It's I really so I'm very sensitive to people who come in sympathetic overdrive because they're stuck in fight or flight. And
Right.
I it's great to be motivated and want to achieve things. Worrying about whether you can or not isn't helpful. I would have told myself, but finding out how to achieve it would be quite helpful. My husband of, 30 years, he had such a good attitude in a particular way about things he wanted to do. Like, I learned to ski when I was in my late 20s. So take lessons. Don't get up just rent some skis and go up the lift. Other people can teach you how to do things. And I didn't really grow up with that idea. My parents had more of this idea that, well, you're born knowing how to do things if you're supposed to do it. And that was very confusing to me because, I would ask about, like I'd be interested and want to do something. Well, if you don't already know how to do it, then you're not supposed to do it. It's like, okay, I don't understand that. Um, and then
That's a very big limiting belief there.
it was. But then I learned, oh no, I can learn how to do things. I remember when I first started studying natural medicine, I was around some really great practitioners. It was through Parker College of Chiropractic. And I remember thinking to myself, I will never know what they know. My gosh, it's just, I'm such a beginner, I'm such a novice. And now people call me, you know,
Yeah.
now I'm the one that people say to me, oh, you know so much and everything. And I have to laugh because, it does take quite a bit of study and practice to master things.
Yeah.
But it goes pretty fast. So all of a sudden, oh, how did I get here? I remember so clearly being novice. But it's so great to be able to help other people and to teach other people what you know also, because I think that's traditionally been the role of a woman who's, raised her children. I hate to use the word old. I always say old is a four-letter word, but that we're supposed to be passing on what we know and keeping the wisdom alive. And that's always been the herbal tradition and the tradition of the old time physicians. You definitely had people you had to teach because, we can't lose the wisdom. I mean, look at herbal medicine
Right.
going back 5,000 years, Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic. And it's quite a lovely legacy that
Mm.
we have.
Yeah. That was passed down. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. I never looked at it that way as a woman, as a mom of, passing on our wisdom and, teaching our kids and the people around us. That's really beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true. Yeah, as a teacher, it's kind of our woman's nature. Very interesting. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And thank you so, so much. I really loved our time. I learned so much. You even touched my heart. So I just want to thank you for being with me today. Is there anything you want to say as before we sign off? Is there any message you want to leave anybody with?
Well, I think that we're doing a great thing by making some of our experiences available, and I really appreciate the opportunity to jabber away and talk about some of these things that I feel so strongly about, and especially with somebody who really understands and has similar practice and experience and such. And I thank you so much. This is a
Mhm.
great opportunity.
Thank you. I'm so happy.